Alright everyone, welcome back to another video. And today in this video, what I have for everyone is my full review of the NUU Mobile G5. So I've been using this device for a good amount of time, and I feel like I've gathered up all my thoughts and opinions on it, and that's what I'm going to share with everyone today in this full review. So hopefully by the end of this video, you guys and gals know whether or not if this device is worth picking up. So let's do some quick housekeeping and then let's dive straight in. So starting off, this video is being recorded with the rear-facing primary 12 megapixel camera on the Samsung Galaxy S8 Active. It's being recorded in 720p resolution at 30 frames per second, and recording all the audio here today, we are using the Movo MA2010 omnidirectional microphone. So please let me know what you think of the overall video quality, as well as what you think of the overall audio quality down below. And if you enjoy this video and you find it helpful, please help your boy out by giving the video a thumbs up. That really does help me out. You don't know how much. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell if you would like to see more content like this. And as always, if your interest is piqued, all the links to where y'all can pick up this bad boy at some really great prices will be available down below in the video description, along with all of my extended coverage on this device. So the video description will be like a one-stop shop for you guys and gals, and you should be good to go. All right, housekeeping done. Let's dive straight in. Now, starting off, the first thing I want to talk about with everyone is the overall build quality and design. Now, from a build quality standpoint, this device is built out of your unibody plastic material. So we got plastic on the back, we got plastic on the bottom, and got a nice plastic mid-frame, plastic all across the top. We even have plastic buttons on the side here, but these buttons are very clicky and tactile. As you can hear, I don't know how well you can hear that. They are extremely clicky and tactile, but it's all made out of plastic, all right? So some of y'all may say that might make the device a little cheap. Yes, but it does do a few other things aside from that. It makes the device very lightweight with a very balanced weight overall, and it does feel very nice in the hands, okay? So although it does have cheaper build materials, it lends itself to this device very well. So the overall build quality on this one is really good in my opinion. Now, talking about the overall design on this, I have to say this is another area where NUU did a great job. In terms of their design language here, I can say they went with a combination of new and old design aspects. So you got the newer quad camera setup, okay? We got that newer gradient shimmer design going on in the back. But we have that classic, always active capacitive fingerprint sensor, which is way more reliable than your in-screen fingerprint sensors. And if we flip it over to the front, you can see we do have that newer punch hole style design, but we also have a very nice large display as well. Okay, so this is why I would say it's a combination of your new design elements with your old design elements, and I think they did a great job. And overall, I have to say the design on this one is really good as well. All right, so overall, that covers the build quality and design. Let's keep it moving now. Up next, let's talk about this display. So up front, dead center here, you have a 6.55 inch 720p plus display with a resolution of 720p by 1600, giving it an overall screen density of 267 pixels per inch, or PPI. That's all the technical specifications for you guys and gals that like to know that sort of thing. Now, talking about the display from a daily usage standpoint, I have to say it has been really good, okay? Indoors, I generally keep it at about 50%, but for this video, I kind of dropped it a little bit lower so you guys and gals can see everything. Outdoors, I do have to max it out to make it usable, and I do want to point out outdoors, this display is very hard to see in direct sunlight. Now, if I didn't say it, this is also an IPS LCD display. Okay, that might have been a little bit easier to deal with if it was AMOLED, but at this price, it is what it is. But the outdoor visibility on this one, it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard, okay? But other than that aspect, this display has done a great job, all right? So overall, the display is really good. Okay, let's keep it moving now. Let's now dive into more detail on the overall hardware and the overall software of this device right here, okay? Start off with the hardware first. So hardware-wise, this bad boy is packing 4 gigs of RAM with 64 gigs of onboard storage. You do also have a dual SIM card slot, so that means you can pack in 2 nano SIM cards or 1 nano SIM card and 1 micro SD card. You can make that micro SD card adaptable, expandable storage. So that means you can bolster the 64 gigs of onboard storage that comes on this bad boy out of the box. Along with that, we do have USB Type-C and 10-watt fast charging, along with the 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. And we have a bottom firing mono speaker as well. Okay. Flipping it to the back here, we got that quad camera setup, which is a 16 megapixel primary, an 8 megapixel ultra wide, a 2 megapixel depth sensor, and a 2 megapixel macro sensor. Now the primary and the front facing camera are capable of recording video up to 1080p at 30 FPS. Okay, so no more, no less. And then I already showed y'all the rear-mounted fingerprint sensor, which is really fast. So tap, and it opens right up. It's really quick. And then along with that, we do have the raise to wake, along with the face unlock. So really, really good stuff there. We got a variety of different unlocking features for security and convenience. And I gotta say, it works really well. All right? Really well indeed. All right? Now, talking about some more hardware on this one, internally, this bad boy is packing the MediaTek Helio P22 octa-core processor and the Power VR Rogue GE8320 GPU. So this is definitely a lower mid-range MediaTek chipset on board, okay? Just for you guys and gals that would like to know that sort of thing. Also internally, and this is probably its biggest selling point, it is packing a 5,000 milliamp hour battery on board. And I gotta tell y'all, spoiler alert, the battery on this one is really, really good. It rivals the Moto G Power and the other devices in the Moto lineup. So that is really good battery in my opinion. All right. So I do believe that covers all the hardware. All right. Now, I already told you the front and rear facing cameras are maxed out at 1080p. The front facing camera is a 16 megapixel sensor as well. All right, in case I forgot. Now, I do believe that covers everything. Now, let's keep it moving. Up next now, let's talk about the software on this bad boy right here. Now, software-wise, this bad boy is running on top of Android 10, and it's a slightly skinned version on top of Android 10. So you really can't tell from looking at it from the front. It looks very stock-ish. But when you dive into the settings, you can see they did some very light skinning. But more importantly, they kept it very close to stock, and they added some very nice additional features. So we do have the face unlock, okay? We do have gesture controls as well as navigation keys, and that is fully customizable. So you can really use what works best for you. And then alongside that, we got a nice little assortment of additional features. So flip over to silent, okay? Anti-touch, so increased screen sensitivity. 3-finger screenshot, all right? 3-finger split screen. We got double tap to jump to the cameras and raise to wake. Now, in all honesty, the only two I use are right here, raise to wake, and the double tap to get into the cameras. The rest of this I pretty much turn off. All right, but these are pretty much all the additional features that this device provides in terms of the software. And in terms of the software and security patches, this is running on the September 5th security patch, September 5th, 2020. So it's not up to date in terms of the security, and it's not up to date in terms of the OS, but it still is really, really good. And the combination of hardware and software that NUU has decided to put in here, I feel is really good. All right. Now, moving on, talking about the software from a day-to-day performance standpoint, I would have to say it's just okay. It gets the job done. Now, if you're a light to moderate user, you're definitely going to enjoy this. But if you're a heavy user or a power user, you're definitely going to notice the performance squeeze, okay? Now, I'm very happy to report there has been some app hiccups and app stutters, but no app crashes, and there has been a few app reloads, okay? And I would have to recommend that you keep it to no more than 8 to 12 applications open in the background, okay? Anything more than that, you're going to definitely see the device struggle. Now, I do have some applications open in the background, so y'all could check the memory management in real time. And I want somebody to do me a big favor. Somebody, I want you to comment down below how many times this device refreshed an application throughout the review. All right? Leave that commented down below. That would be a big help. But overall, as long as you stick to that recommendation, so no more than 8 to 12 applications open at a time, you should be good to go in terms of overall software and performance. Now, moving on, let's talk about the Wi-Fi in this bad boy right here. Let's pull it up. Let me pull up the Wi-Fi stats, and then we'll get into a real-time Wi-Fi performance test. So you can see this is an example of some of the Wi-Fi and data tests that I've ran with the device. Now, it's not the best scores that I've seen, but it gets the job done. And you know, the paper stats have nothing to do with real-time usage. And in terms of real-time usage, in my opinion, it's been great, and I haven't had any issues, okay? But let's go ahead and jump into a real-time Wi-Fi performance test. This performance test will also double as a speaker test as well. So let's reload this song here. Let's make sure the speakers are maxed out. So everything is maxed out. And let's go ahead and fire this up. Let me put it on my stand here so I don't have to hold it. Okay. And let me spin the microphone around, and then we're going to push play. Okay. So just for reference, the microphone is less than a foot away, and it is at max volume. So I'm going to let it play for a little bit. Then we're going to scrub through the video to check the performance, and then I'm going to give y'all my overall thoughts and opinions on the overall speaker performance and the speaker placement. So let me go ahead and push play right now. Okay, let's step through the video. Come forward. Okay. Come backwards. Okay. So there you guys and gals have it. Real quick speaker test, real quick Wi-Fi test as well. let's keep it moving now. Now, let's get into my overall opinions on the speakers and its placement. Now, in terms of the overall speaker performance, it is okay at best. Now, it does get loud. Don't get me wrong. It gets more than loud enough. But it is noticeably distorted and noticeably thrill. It's very harsh. And at max volume, it's not very pleasing to the ears. Okay? So the overall speaker performance on this one is just okay at best. Now, talking about the overall speaker placement, I am not a fan. That is very easy to muffle and or obstruct, and they had more than enough space to add a front-facing speaker. I mean, look at all this. Could have put one right there. Could have built one into the receiver. So definitely should have built in dual front-facing speakers on this. So the overall placement and performance of the speakers is okay at best. It gets the job done. Definitely, if you want a more pleasing audio experience, you need to connect up some headphones, or you need to connect up some Bluetooth earbuds or a Bluetooth speaker. Okay? All right, let's keep it moving now. Up next now, let's go ahead and talk about the LTE and the available bands. All right, let's go. Okay. Oh, and I think I forgot to mention, I'll throw it up in post, but this does support dual band Wi-Fi as well. So you can support your 2.4 gigahertz as well as your 5 gigahertz band Wi-Fi. Now let's keep it pushing. Now in terms of available bands on this device, this is a 4G LTE device only. Okay, and as you can see right here, these are the available bands. All right, and this was very hard to find. So you definitely don't have any 5G on this one, and this is GSM unlocked only. So AT&T, good to go. T-Mobile, good to go. Metro, good to go. Cricket, good to go. Any of those other MVNOs, good to go. Verizon, nope. Sprint, nope. Any of their MVNOs, nope. All right, GSM only. All right. Good. And I gotta say, I tested this on AT&T via FreeUp Mobile and T-Mobile via TextNow, and I didn't have any issues with the overall data or any issues with the data performance. Okay, so really good stuff there as well. Let's keep it moving now. Up next, let's talk about the Bluetooth and the overall Bluetooth performance on here. Let's go. Now, Bluetooth-wise, this bad boy is packing Bluetooth 4.2, so it's definitely not the latest and greatest, but the overall performance on here in terms of the Bluetooth is really good, and I haven't had any issues. And here is just some of the devices that I connected up, and they all worked without problems. So overall Bluetooth performance, even though it is not the best, it still gets the job done. Okay, and again, you can pretty much say that's the theme of this video, a nice balanced combination of older software and hardware versus newer software and hardware. So it's a nice combination of the old and the new to give you an overall very solid device. All right, so this Bluetooth performance is really good. Okay, up next now, let's talk about the overall GPS performance, and this is an area that really needs to be there for me to make a device my daily driver, and I'm very happy to report that the GPS performance on this device was top notch. Anything that had to do with GPS worked without issue. So turn-by-turn navigation, geocaching, geotagging, all worked without issue, and I didn't have any problems. Okay, GPS performance, top notch. Now, let's move on. Up next now, let's talk about the overall call quality and the speaker call quality on this device when it comes to making phone calls. Now, as I said earlier, I tested it on AT&T via FreeUp Mobile, and I tested it on T-Mobile via TextNow, and I gotta tell y'all, in terms of call quality through the built-in receiver, it did a great job. Now, in terms of call quality through the built-in speaker in terms of taking speakerphone calls, it was not the best. And 9 times out of 10, I pretty much connected up a Bluetooth device, or I just used the internal built-in receiver to take the phone calls. So the speakerphone calls on this are not the best. Okay? But there's a lot of factors that go into that. Location, carrier coverage, just to name a few. So you guys and gals' results may vary on that. But that's my overall experience when we talk about the call quality and the speaker call quality. All right? Let's keep it going now. Up next now, let's briefly talk about my experience and my overall thoughts on these cameras. All right? Now, this is just going to be a quick down and dirty rundown, but if y'all would like to check out the cameras for yourself, including all of the photo and the video samples, I've done a full dedicated camera walkthrough, including all the photo and video samples that I've taken with this device. I'll link that video up down below in the video description. Please feel free to check that out if you would like to know more and share your opinions over there. You are more than free to do so as well. But I typically judge cameras on 3 different criteria: point and shoot photo performance, point and shoot video performance, and audio capture capabilities. All right. And I'm very happy to report in all 3 categories, this device did a great job. Okay. Whether I wanted to quickly take a photo, I 9 times out of 10 was able to get a really good photo. If I needed to record a video to produce content or make some B-roll, I can more than easily get some very nice and pleasing B-roll or content for creation purposes with these cameras. And in terms of the audio, this device did a really great job. And spoiler, some of the content that I published on the channel was recorded exclusively using these cameras. Like the cases video for the LG V60. Right here. This case video, along with the other one, was recorded using these cameras. And I do have Bumpy Cam Productions, my bad y'all. I do have a video coming up on some replacement bands for the Mi Band 4 that was also recorded using these cameras. All right? Really good overall video capture, photo capture, and audio capabilities. So in terms of the camera aspects, I have to say NUU did a really good job. All right? Now, let's keep it moving. Up next now, let's talk about the overall gaming performance. And yet again, I've done a separate dedicated gaming performance video. Feel free to check that out. And also feel free to share your opinions over there as well. But let's make this quick. In terms of gaming, you definitely want to stay away from graphically intensive games. Now, I love my graphically intensive games. So I tested this with Call of Duty Mobile and Asphalt 9, and I did notice a noticeable performance hit. So I definitely would say if you're going to stick to light games, you should be okay. But if you're going to do graphically intensive games, even though you shouldn't, you definitely want to set that to medium or low settings. Now, I left it on the default settings when I was doing my testing, and I did notice as I said, noticeable performance hit. But now it was still playable, but it definitely took away from the overall gaming experience. So, light casual games, no problem. Graphic intensive games, adjust those settings for a smoother experience. All right? So, let's move on now. Up next now, let's briefly run through the benchmarks on this bad boy here. And honestly, I don't really care for benchmarks, but we're going to run through it quick, fast, and in a hurry because I know some of you guys and gals do. So up first, we got the 3D Mark Slingshot and Slingshot Extreme testing. And you can see it scored a 722 and a 386 respectively, depending on the benchmark. Jumping over, we got the Disco Mark multitasking test. Now, this was done with 8 to 12 applications. When I tried to do it with my typical 17 to 21 applications, it really struggled, okay? And sometimes it crashed out, okay? So that's where I got that recommendation from. You definitely don't want to use more than 8 to 12 applications at a time. And this is the Disco Mark multitasking benchmark. And all it really does is let you load up any and all apps on your device, cycle through those apps a set number of times, and it will spit out the overall open time for the applications, and it will spit out the individual app opening time for the applications. And I did notice a lot of app refreshes while I was running this benchmark, and I ran it about 3 times. All right. Then we got the Geekbench 5 scores. Now, sadly, I couldn't get the Geekbench 5 compute scores to run. I could only get the basic testing to run, and you can see it scored a 140 single core and an 802 multi-core, and this was the last screenshot that I took, okay? Now, it ballpark anywhere between 200 and 900, respectively. So 200 multi-core or 200 single core, my mistake, and 900 multi-core. And you can see on that last run, it got that 140 and 802, all right? Then we have the older benchmarks. So we got the Velemo metal test. It scored at 1,416. Not bad. Lower mid-pack. And then we got the Velemo multi-core test, and it scored a 2,042. Again, not bad. Upper mid-pack. And that pretty much does it for all the benchmarks that I was able to get running. A lot of them crashed out or just wouldn't work on this device. But those are the ones that I was able to get running and take screenshots of for you guys and gals. Alright, so that pretty much done it. My bad. That pretty much does it for the benchmarks. And if we're thinking about this realistically, benchmarks and synthetic benchmark scores is not what this device is about. So if you were expecting really good benchmark scores, nah. Nope. Alright? What y'all need to remember is at the end of the day, all that really matters is the overall combination between the hardware and the software, and it should equate to an overall smooth and fluid user experience. Alright? That's all you need to worry about. Now, let's keep it moving now. We're almost finished. Up next now, I want to briefly talk about the overall battery life and the overall charge times. And I would have to say, this is one of this device's claims to fame, so to speak. Okay? Now, once again, let me reiterate some specifications for y'all. So this has a 720p plus display, an IPS LCD display. It has a 5,000 milliamp hour battery on board as well. And it does support 10 watt fast wired charging. All right, so let's jump into the charge times first. Now, in regards to the overall charge times, I do want to point out that you do need to make sure that you're using a supported cable and a supported brick. As you will see from some of the screenshots, I tried some of the direct power delivery bricks and cables, and it started charging really, really slow. I think the slowest charge time I got on here was about 6 hours. After I realized that, okay, it doesn't support that standard, and I switched over to a really good Type A to Type C cable, then it started to charge at the faster rate. And at that point, it was charging on average between 2.5 to 3.5 hours. And that, I would say, is really good if you take into consideration, again, the overall battery size that's in here. Okay, so overall charge times with this device are really good. And the same thing could be said for the overall battery life. Now, the overall battery life on this device more than rivals the Moto G Power right here. And that's very important because it's doing so at a much cheaper price. And in regards to the photo performance, in some instances, it's taking better photos than the Moto G Power, which again comes in at a much more expensive price tag. All right, but the battery life on the NUU G5 is really good. Now, on average, with my style of heavy use, I was getting about a day and a half to at most about 3 to 5 days. Okay, so that's a day and a half with heavy usage, and that's 3 to 5 days with light to moderate usage. So overall, to me, that is really good overall battery life. And in terms of screen on time, that it was averaging anywhere between 10 to 14 hours of screen on time. So really good overall screen on time, but that really does depend on what you're doing with the device. All right, so your guys and gals results for the battery life and the overall charge times may vary. All right, let's keep it moving now. We've made it to the final part of this video. This is where I want to talk to everyone about the pricing, the overall availability, get into my final thoughts, and an overall recommendation or two. Now, before we talk about pricing and availability, I do want to let everyone know, in the interest of full disclosure, that this was another product that came into the channel thanks in large part to the Amazon Vine program. So essentially, what does that mean? I write up and publish a full written review on Amazon, and then this device is mine to keep. All right? That being said, I still did do my due diligence, and I scoured the internet, and I found this device available in price ranging from as low as $130, and as high as $160. All right? So based on just pricing alone, if you're looking for a pretty decent phone and you don't want to break the bank and you have a GSM carrier, I can more than easily and more than happily recommend this device. Now, stacking it up to its next closest competition, which is the Moto G Power, once again, I can more than easily recommend this device over the Moto G Power because, as I said, in certain instances, it did take the better photos and the battery life rivals the Moto G Power. And it comes in at a much cheaper price. Lowest price here, $130. Lowest price here, $185. Highest price here, $160. Highest price here, $250. So you're getting a similar experience at a much cheaper price. All right? So that is why I can more than easily recommend that you pick up this device if you're in the market for a device like this. Okay? All right. So that pretty much does it for this full review. That being said, I hope everyone enjoyed it. I hope everyone is having a great day. I hope everyone is staying safe out there. And I will catch you guys and gals in the next video. Peace, everyone. We're out of here.